Hello everybody and welcome to my channel History and Guides, and today I want to talk about my latest achievements in the hobby, but also a little bit about what is happening here on this channel and why there hasn't been an update for quite a while. Now let's start with the latter one. You might have picked it up from my other socials as well as here on the community tab that my private life has had a couple of rough weeks and months really. And while I'm now seeing the end of the tunnel, so to speak, there's still some stuff to sort out, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't really find a lot of time to make videos. The other one is like normally during this time of the year I'm always super sneezy. Got a little bit of cold, and obviously I don't want to torture your eardrums with my sneezy voice. Anyway, so let's get this channel back on track, and I hope you will stick with me even after this break. Given that the last update has been a couple of months ago, really, there has been some stuff that I managed to paint despite being very occupied with my private life. And I will show you them in a moment. And you'll see it's an eclectic mix of stuff, and I think that will remain one of the hallmarks of this channel, namely that I mix it up now and then. Now, in terms of painting, there are basically three different segments here. First one are two vehicles for bolt action. One is a Panther tank from Italy for wallet games, and that one came together fairly nicely. And you can see it here. The only regret I have here is that I struggled to match the colors that I painted on my two scout cars that I showed earlier this year. So this again came out a little bit different, I think a little bit darker than especially the Puma, and the SKE KF 222 came out differently anyway. So it's a little bit a mixed bag, but on the other hand, I don't think it's that bad really. You still get the general idea what the camo scheme is looking like, and it kind of makes sense if you have a cobbled together force like the tanks and the vehicles are not exactly the same paint scheme and color. The other thing I painted is this Stuka. It's a kit from Revell. It comes in a slightly smaller scale, so this is 1 to 72, not 1 to 56, which would equal to 28 millimeters. But I think that's fine because it's mostly there just as a physical representation for an aerial attack. And one thing I do want to add at one point is some kind of flight base, so it's not just stuck on the cable like a vehicle, but rather like a plane in flight. And for that I think I will have to wait till next year till I come up with an idea how to do it. But the nice thing is it can also work as an objective marker maybe in a bolt action game. So I think it certainly has its place on the The next thing I painted up are 25 climax for Battletech, and I painted them up in one big batch, and I did use a couple of new techniques and tools for it, about which I will talk a little bit later. So that's why you see slight variations in terms of the colors, and also this was a large batch for me again, so I sometimes struggle a bit to get through it. But I think overall they turned out quite nicely, and they will form kind of a Ghost Bear force. It's not exactly a custom scheme according to the camo specs, but it's close enough that it will work. Then I had a couple of just experimental pieces. First of all, 3 infantry bases. They are just painted up because I wanted to have some infantry, and I used old metal miniatures for that because I don't have any of the newer plastic ones, and I think the old metal ones are actually quite nice, and in terms of price and value, I think they are fairly good as well, because you get like one pack contains I think 25 or 30 battle armor, and you pay like the same price as for a normal metal blister, which is like 12-15 euros. So I think they came out quite nicely. It is a bit rough and raggy, but for just putting them on the tabletop, I think they're fantastic and fine. And the last thing I picked up for Battletech is this X-Men. I have had actually 2 X-Men, and I thought, okay, if I have a duplicate, I might just try some experimental paint scheme for it. And that's what happened actually. So I wanted to have like some kind of red and orange kind of camo scheme. I think in hindsight it doesn't really look too much like a camo really, and more like a, I don't know, somebody with a paintbrush getting over he was going to do with it. But nevertheless, I think it looks fine, and it will certainly also feature on the gaming table at one point or another. And honestly, sometimes I don't really mind mixing up the paint schemes on the table for Battletech. It just happens. And the final thing that I actually finished today are 3 treasure markers for Saga. So I've really wanted to make some markers for Saga for a long time, and if you remember, I bought a large amount of scenery stuff for 28mm a while ago, and I finally managed to just get through with it and put 3 bases together. And I think they come out really, really nicely, and they certainly will work very well for what I intend it to use for. The one thing that is still missing is a caravan, and while we have a couple of people at the club who have a caravan, I obviously need one as well at some point, because we do play the scenarios with caravans quite a bit. And but that's also a topic for the next segment, I guess. Now, I mentioned that I started to try out some new techniques and some new tools, and there have been 2 significant additions to my toolbox in the last couple of months. The first one is something that you can probably see here in the background already, and that is an airbrush actually. So I bought an airbrush and a compressor, and also a spray boost, so I don't have all the particles flying around here, because in the end I am here in a living room, not in a proper art studio or whatsoever. The second thing I got was actually oil paints by Schminke, which is an artist color company here from Germany, and yeah, I tried both of those ones out on the Climax that I showed you earlier, and obviously it does take some time to get used to it, especially with the airbrush. I'm already very happy using it for priming and for varnishing, because I think this is really a huge step forward. It dries very quickly because it's a very thin application. It also is much more level than if you're using a spray can, where stuff can happen, as we all know. And the big advantage I feel I have is the miniatures don't smell afterwards, so I can just keep them here in the room and let them dry at room temperature, rather than having them out in the hallway where, well, they dry slower, and also they smell quite a bit. So just for that, it is probably a good addition to my toolbox, but I will also use it for applying base colors, and maybe also at some point I will try out some more artsy-fartsy stuff when I do larger miniatures or vehicles, for example. I think trying camo with airbrush will be quite interesting. So we will see how that works out. The other aspect, like I said, is the oil colors, and I use them here on those Battletech miniatures to wash them. But I didn't use a black wash for it, I used a dark blue wash, so I have a more like a gradual recess rather than a really hard panel liner like a lot of people do. And I thought that worked out very, very well once it dried and once I swapped everything off. And one thing I was very positively surprised about was that the drying times actually weren't that terrible. So it's like you do it, you leave it for the evening. Obviously you still need to like apply the wash and then rub it off, where it's too much really after a while with mineral spirits. But it's all fairly manageable, it's not super difficult to do, and like I said before, the drying times are not that crazy really, so a very welcome addition to my toolbox as well. Now let's quickly talk about some of the games I played. I had a couple of games of Battletech and a game of Saga recently. I don't have any photos, I believe, from the Battletech game, or I might have. If I have them, I will put them on the screen here. But that was a fairly disastrous game for me. I lost fairly quickly. I think after the first or second round of shooting, I knew that I was just probably not gonna win it, because I was going to be behind on the objectives and unable to turn it around. I definitely need to up my game of Battletech, because I feel like I will keep blundering into the scenarios and I don't really have a good plan of action to use the assets that I have on the field to the fullest extent. But on the other hand, it was still fun, and I think that's the most important part. Winning comes really second to enjoying company and a good humored game. The game of Saga, on the other hand, was a first victory for after a while of with my Saracens. So I decided after the FAQ came out for Age of Crusades to give the Saracens another shot. Not that I had completely given up on them, but I felt like they were a little bit not my kind of warband, I guess. And the new changes really give them a little bit more of an edge. I feel they still are not a warband where you can just hit super hard and run the enemy over, but you do get a little bit more mobility. You do get a little bit more tools in the box, and some of the abilities are just easier to use because the restrictions are not as severe as they used to be. And so I played a game of Ambush against Werner from the club, and that one was a very, very tight game. I think we played 6 rounds, and until my turn, because I was the second player, so I was basically finishing the game. Until my turn, Werner was ahead, but very slightly. and then I turn it around with a very aggressive move, which is obviously the advantage of coming second. You can just go all out, not have any stops in there. You can just go at it. And still, I was struggling a little bit because Werner had still some defensive abilities on the board, and he used them to a great extent. He was actually playing the Last Romans board, so we were mixing the eras. So Last Romans are the Romans from the Age of Vikings book, and obviously the Saracens are from the Age of Crusades. It was a very fun game, and I really enjoyed it, and I think I will take the Saracens actually along to our next tournament, which will be on the 8th, I believe, 8th of December, so in a couple of weeks. And it will be again mixed, I believe, Age of Vikings, Age of Invasions, and Age of Crusades. And we will see how I fare there. I mean, it's definitely different kind of warband than the pagan rules that I play normally in other games. So I will probably make a report about that one, actually, about that tournament again, like the last Saga tournament we held. Probably making it a little bit better than last time because I make some very much some beginner mistakes when I was caping that tournament. So stay tuned for that one. Now, what's coming up on the channel next? Well, first of all, I've started to branch out on social media a little bit. I have always had my Instagram channel, and I will probably try to post a little bit more there. But I've also now opened up an account on Blue Skies. So if you are on Blue Skies, just get in touch. I have the same handle there as everywhere else. I also do use Threads a little bit, but honestly for me it feels like Threads is probably the weakest kind of short messaging social media platform. And so I just prefer Blue Skies, especially because it's just blowing up right now with all the exodus from Twitter, or X nowadays. Then there is a new video coming up as well. I have an idea. I will probably shoot it right after I've shot this video, and I hope it will be very handy for some of you, because I have a couple of very simple hobby tips how to organize your painting table a little bit more, to kind of be more efficient, to have everything in reach. And it's not like the usual stuff you have to buy all kinds of stuff. Most of it you will have in the household anyway, so it's very accessible for you as well. And then lastly, I mentioned already, there will be a Saga tournament on the 8th, and I hope I will be able to not only record it but also to edit it in time to come out before Christmas. And then obviously there's almost no time left in this year, so I'm not sure I will be able to do another video before that. However, what I do want to do is I want to have a look back at what I've achieved this year in the hobby, what I plan to do next year. What I also want to do is to have a look back at the first year of this YouTube channel, maybe have a critical look at what kind of formats worked, which one didn't work so well, and make some adjustments probably for next year. We will see. I think that's something for early next year, really, especially with all the stuff happening now in the next couple of weeks with Christmas and me being away quite a bit. I don't think I will manage to do that before the New Year's Eve hits. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you keep enjoying the content of this channel. If you like it, please leave a like, leave a subscription, leave a comment if there's anything you like or you don't like, so I can maybe improve, adjust stuff. And finally, have a good day, have a good time, enjoy the pre-Christmas period, don't get too stressed out, and most of all, stay healthy and happy. Happy gaming. Bye bye.